Boxing truth here. Chris Eubank Jr. is now the IBO super middleweight champion. And what was expected, the fight went as expected. Jr. pretty much dominated the fight, won pretty much every round. And it wasn't the usual performance that I've seen from Eubank. This was a more patient performance. He was pacing himself a little more. He was taking his time breaking this guy down. In his middleweight days, I've seen him be more aggressive, more ferocious, throw more combinations, and I see him go all out just on opponents a lot earlier than he did against Quinlan tonight. He was fighting a naturally bigger guy. It was his first fight at super middleweight for Junior. He was testing the waters. He was taking his time with Quinlan. He was in there with a durable, tough, bigger guy, and he had to take his time. He had to weaken him, break him down, and before he could start unleashing those trademark combinations that he throw. And he was slowly but surely breaking him down throughout all of the rounds. It was different, though. It wasn't the usual Junior that I've seen from before. He was more patient, was pacing himself more, was trying to establish the jab a little more, was wild at times, was able to land some nice lead left hooks, landed nice uppercuts, landed some combinations. But it wasn't until like around the fifth or sixth round where Junior started to really pick up the pace, started, throwing more of those combinations that he throws. He just took his time more in this fight compared to other opponents, considering he was in there with a bigger opponent and in a different division. So it was a different type of performance. Wasn't the usual. It wasn't as exciting as before, but it had his moments. Junior, he did his thing. He did what he was supposed to do. It was surprising he couldn't break Quinlan down a little earlier, or even drop him, or even completely stagger him. He was just whipping his ass for about 9+ rounds, and luckily for you, Junior, he was able to get the stoppage. It would have been a little embarrassing if he went the distance against Quinlan, considering guys like Golovkin and Canelo, the guys that Junior's gunning for, they wouldn't go 10 rounds with this cat. I mean, this cat wasn't much. Renold Quinlan, tough, durable guy. Luckily for Junior, he was able to get the stoppage. He showed a better jab tonight. It was more sharper. It was a little more authoritative. He still needs to work on some things. You could just see the difference in levels between Junior and a guy like Canelo and Golovkin. He's still a little raw. He still has some work to do. He still is wild with some of his punches, especially his hooks. He's very susceptible to counters after his combinations. Forgets to move his head. Gets hit sometimes when he's not supposed to get hit. But he's still a work in progress. He still needs to work on his craft, work on his defense, work on his jab. And now he has some hardware. So let's see how much more diluted the Eubanks will be. Unfortunately for Junior, that's not really a title that can really. I don't really know what it does for him besides make him feel like he's a world champion. It's not a real belt. It's its own organization. It has a respective ranking system. It's computerized, but like the president of the IBO said in a recent interview, they're not recognized by the four sanctioning bodies. The four sanctioning bodies won't recognize the IBO as a unification. So it wouldn't be unification if Junior is gunning for the other champions. Until he beats one of the other champions, then he truly is a world champion. Renold Quinlan is no world champion, just an IBO world champion. Major difference. So hopefully Junior gets in there with the likes of the DeGales. A George Groves fight would be good. Of course, the big names in the middleweight division. But it's going to be interesting to see with this new platform if Junior can get these fights. Since he's going to be committed to ITV, he's going to have to pitch offers to his other prospective opponents. And will the promoters of his prospective opponents be willing to just fight on this network. There could be some issues, network issues. There's egos involved for fights to be made. Saunders fights, the rematch would be difficult. But Junior just needs to step up, man. No more of these showcases, these predetermined outcomes. It was a one-sided beatdown. It wasn't competitive. Wasn't really that exciting. It wasn't really that entertaining. I mean, it had its moments. Junior, showed he put on a show at times, but it wasn't as strong as usual. Maybe because of the new division. He's fighting a bigger guy. But let's see what this IBO title takes Junior. He's got his own platform. Let's see if this platform can get him the fights that we want to see him in. But Junior needs to improve on some things in this game if he really wants a legitimate chance to beat the likes of a Golovkin and the Canelo. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.